Hey, what's up guys? This is Fatal Cubes here. In this video, we're actually going to be doing a pretty painful process. So we're going to be basically fixing up our game board class to incorporate this new saving system. So this is really just going through line by line and getting rid of all of our old methods of saving and incorporating the new methods. So I've literally opened up I have it right here. It essentially shows me what's changed between the two documents. So I have my finished version here, and I have the version that we currently are working with on the left. And I'm just going to go through and we're going to get rid of everything that we don't need anymore. Alright, so let's start with this formatted time we don't need. Fastest milliseconds we don't need. We do not need high score font, all that get rid of. Alright. We might not need that. I just have to see what that's about. Alright, as for adding in new things, we have to add in two variables, which should be pretty obvious. Private score manager, because remember we created this class to manage the scores, so we gotta let the game board access that, as well as the leaderboards. Now do remember that score manager is not a singleton class, so because of that, if you have many games, if you have multiple games, you could have multiple score managers technically, though we haven't really built it very well to incorporate that. And leaderboards is singleton, so there's really only one instance of that. Alright, everything from here up we can get rid of. Again, we're not doing any saving in the game board class. Let's see. Alright, wow, I have changed a lot. We don't need to load the high score. Start doesn't get called here anymore. Alright. Start time doesn't get set. Alright, and we do not load the background music over here. Oh, no, my bad. Put that back. Again, I'm sorry for this sort of unorganized sort of way of going through, but I think this is essential. It's been a long time since I touched this code, so a lot of this I have to refresh my memory on. So now let's do stuff with the leaderboards. First of all, let's get the one instance that we have. Leaderboards, let's load the scores up. As well as we're going to get the scores equals new score manager. This. Right? Scores, we're going to load a game. We're going to set the best time. Scores. Set best time. To the leaderboards dot get fastest time. As you can see, it all ties together very nicely for doing this. Set best time. Scores dot set current top score to lboard dot get high score. Alright. And we got to say if scores is a new game, and then we start scores.save game. Alright, so that's our start method. So if it's not a new game, we obviously don't want to call the start method, otherwise there's going to be issues. Starting, in other words, if we're in the middle of a game, we don't want to call this method. Moving on, this whole entire create save data, we can get rid of it. I love getting rid of code, it feels so good. Even though we really didn't get rid of it, it sort of exists somewhere else. oh, back up here, else, hold on a second, give me a moment, let me figure this out. Spawn scores. Alright. So, in this else statement, we're going to do for int I equals 0. Sorry for that delay. It stores that get board, which is an integer array. And we're going to do dot length. So, we're going to go iterate through all of them. I plus plus. This is for saving and stuff. This is so we don't duplicate anything. If scores dot get board at I equals 0, continue. This essentially means that the tile is null. Otherwise, we're going to do spawn I divided by rows, I modulus columns, scores dot get board at I. My bad. This is actually if we don't start a new game, we need to load in from the file. I blanked out there for a moment. We do need to create this spawn method. This was commented out. Yeah, this was commented out. This was more of a debug method that I created. I don't know. Yep, right here. We can uncomment that back in. Not uncomment really, but we can put that back in there. So we're able to spawn again. Alright. So once we have all the tiles spawned in, we need to do some things. Right here, we have to set dead equal to check dead, methods that we'll create later in this video, and 1 equal to check 1. Essentially, it's a little confusing how this all works. But what happens if you just lost the game and before, you just won the game and it saves the time and you X out and you reload the game and it loads it up and it sees, oh wait, you've won again. So then it would save the time again if it's still a high score, and you could essentially do that until all your high scores for your time, all your fastest times are all filled out. So this is just a safety way of making sure that there's no loopholes in the saving when you're saving the top score or your top tile. Any of those saves, you have to make sure that the player, when he loads the game, it's properly, if it's already been saved, it doesn't save again. So that's what this is all about. Alright. Load high score, we can get rid of this, as well as set high score. Alright. In between here though, we are going to put one method, public void reset. This will reset the board. So board, we're just going to set it equal to a new tile array of rows and calls. We're going to start. We're going to save the game. Dead equals false. 1 equals false. Has started equals false. Start time equals system.nanotime. Elapsed milliseconds equals 0. And save count equals 0. And create an integer up here. I forgot to do it. Private int save count. You'll see what this does in a moment. It's for saving the game. Obviously, what the name implies. This reset method will be called when the player chooses to start a new game. So that's another feature with the GUI, is that you will be able to start a new game after you lose. Okay. Create board image. Spawn random. Holy cow. Alright, well, a lot got rid of here. I'm actually pause the video just to make sure, just to double check a few things, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, there's a bit of confusion there. I was using that program to compare the two files, and it's not very smart. So even though it looked like some of my methods were deleted, but they weren't really deleted, they were just moved. So I thought I got rid of the spawn random method. It said this was all deleted, but it's really moved. And we're going to continue on. Alright, let's go to our update method, and that's one thing is we can get rid of all of this. I do know for a fact. That's all a drawing that we don't need. Alright, in update, we're going to change some things. At the very top, the save count is going to ++. So this should go up 60 times a second. So if save count is greater than 120, so if it's been about 2 seconds, we're going to reset the save count, and then we're going to save the game. Now, this is saving on the same thread, so there are some issues there. So, for example, if you were saving a larger file, a lot more data, then this wouldn't be the most efficient way to do it, because this would slow down the rest of the game, whereas if you saved on a separate thread, then they could both be going at the same time. So why am I doing it like this? Really, we're only saving like 20 or 30 characters. That's basically instant. Really, it's not going to cause any performance issues. So yeah. Anyways, get rid of this formatted time. After elapsed ms, we're going to do scores.setTime to elapsed milliseconds. Alright, get rid of all this. We're going to check the keys. Then we're going to do a new if statement here. If scores.getCurrentScore is greater than scores.getCurrentTopScore, and scores.setCurrentTopScore equal to scores.getCurrentScore. Yeah, a lot of scores.get, it basically just resets the high score if the current score is higher. So it's constantly doing that. Over here, we're going to change this to set1. Now, set1 is not a simple setter. It is not just, this dot 1 equals 1. It actually will contain some logic code for when winning should be set and whatnot. So that is important. Now I'm just going to check my, alright. Format time. This I'm going to comment out because I feel like we will need this code in a different class. I actually am pretty sure we're going to need this code somewhere else. So I don't want to delete it straight out. Just comment it out for now. This is all the same. Check out of bound should all be the same. Move should be slightly different. Alright. So we have this, all this good. Can move is good. All the way up to here. Just one thing we need to do is scores.setCurrentScore to scores.getCurrentScore plus the board at new row, new column, .get value. So this will reset the value and it'll add on the new value after you combine tiles. Alright, everything is just about the same. I'm just double checking to make sure. So we have if can move, blah blah blah. And instead of check dead, we're going to do set dead, check dead. Whoa, it's a method inside of a method. Anyways, this is going to, again, set dead is like set one. It's going to have some logic to determine if it should save it. And the check dead is the normal check dead function, slightly modified. So we're going to make it a Boolean now. It's going to return a Boolean. So we're going to return false here. You're not dead if there's open spaces. Otherwise, can combine. Boolean can combine equals check surrounding tiles, row, column, and board at row, column. Alright. So then we're just going to do if can combine, return false. Otherwise, get rid of all this return true. Alright. So if you can't combine, or if there's an open space, then you're not dead. If it gets to the end, then you are dead. So there we go. Now for our first method, check 1. The method's pretty short. Boolean check 1. We're just going to go through double for loop as always. And whoops, that's got to be outside there. And here we're going to say if the board at row and column equals null, continue. If the board at row column dot get value is greater than or equal to 2048, then return true. Otherwise, we're going to return false. So a nice way of checking if you've won. Alright, spawn random should all be the same. I'm just going to check that out for a minute. And I don't know why I put it so low in my other code. Yep. Okay, so we still got errors. We got set 1 has an error. Because set 1 should not exist. Because we have check 1. Alright, so far so good. Yep. We have this. We have to modify this check keys function. Instead of setting it equal to true, it's going to equal to the opposite of dead. So you can just change this for all these true values. Alright. And the get highest tile, we're going to create a function that will get the highest tile, get highest tile value. We're going to say value equals 2, so right off the bat the highest value is 2. Double for loop. And another for loop here. Alright, if the board at row and column equals null, then we're going to continue. Otherwise, if the board at row column dot get value is greater than the current value, then the current value equals the value at the row and column. Pretty standard way of getting the highest value. And at the very end, we're going to return value. Alright. We're going to have a Boolean. Public Boolean is dead. Return dead. As well as a public void set dead. This is the modified function that I was talking about. And this is going to check a few things. If this is not dead, and it is dead, then leaderboards.add tile to get highest tile value, lboard.add score, scores.get current score, lboard.save scores. And then at the very end, this dot dead equals dead. So this all guarantees that scores won't be saved multiple times. Very important. And the next two methods we're going to make is public Boolean is 1 and we're going to return 1, return 1, and public void set1 will take in a Boolean and say if this hasn't been set to 1 but you have 1, then we're going to set the time. So remember, you only add the time after you win. There's no other scenario where you would add the time. Alright, I think this is just about the end of the video. I have like one more method, but I do want to say something. So this is a lot of code we added. We added in a lot over the past 3 videos, a whole new saving system. So if you've copied the code down or whatever, and I would recommend looking back and just kind of tracing it through. How does it all work? What happens when you first start the game off? Almost picture a flow chart in your brain. So you load up the game board loads the game if there is one. If there isn't, it creates a new one. It saves it to the score manager. When do the scores get saved to the leaderboards and all that? So that's always good to do. It's always good reminders so you know what you're coding and you're not just copying me or just not really paying attention or focusing. Last one is we got to be able to get the scores from this, because in the next video we're going to be creating the play panel, or some of it. I'm not sure how much we're going to create. Let me just create a few more getters and setters. Well, I'm just going to do the generate getters and setters. But like I was saying, there are a few more things we're going to be adding in the play panel, and this will do, the play panel will handle all the drawing of the GUI as well as drawing the board, and so yeah, we'll get to that in the next video. If you liked the video, please remember to like the video, and if you want to see more content like this, if you want to be notified, please subscribe and comment if you have any questions or you want to start a discussion or whatever. I'm glad to talk about code. So you can do that below in the comments section, and see you guys in the next video.